Right. Today we're going to learn two halachas regarding kibud avim. One is b'chayov, if somebody, Baruch Hashem, have both parents alive. One, so you could do kibud. There's halacha detail on this, and then one after the parents pass away. One is brought in Birkei Yosef the Chidah. It's like this: when you daven for their refuah shalema. Sometimes we would daven for them during davening for the refuah shalema, or by the mishaberach for the cholim in front of the Sefer Torah. He says the en loymar nire. I'm sorry. He says nire looks to me. He says the en loymar betchinose refono laadoini ovi or Abba Mori or Rabbi Valufi. You cannot come up with a lot of titles. That's your father, and the same thing like Abba Rabbi. You can't say Hashem should send refuah shalema to my Ovi Rabbi or his Rebbe, Aravago, and so and so, because it should not say that. Why? Because Shlomo Omar bedavro im Hashem. When Shlomo Amelech davened to Hashem, the way he mentioned his father, he says David Ovi. He didn't say David Aravago and Amelech Agodol Vakodesh. He didn't say any title. He says David Ovi. David my father. The reason for it. Well, where is it? Derech Eretz? Mention your father's name. So, Reb David, Elisha Novi. He said, Omar Eloike Elio. He said that the God of Elio. He didn't say the God of Elio, Kodesh Novi. He didn't say any of that. She'en gavus lifnei hamokim. Because when you daven to Hashem, you don't glorify anybody in front of Hashem. Mm-hmm. And he brings a raya for it. Uriah Chiti. Nischayev hariga lamalchus. Why was Chayev Nisef in front of David HaMelech? Al she'omar Adoini Yoav lifnei David HaMelech. He was working under the general Yoav, Uriah Chiti. He's speaking of David HaMelech, the king. He's the superior of you and your boss, and you're saying in front of the king, Adoini, my master Yoav. In front of the king, you could say Yoav. It's not a master because you're talking to the king now. So you don't bring the glory of someone else in front of the king. He says that's why he was chayav misam. Where is the malchus? Oh, aval nira, he says she'oso laske shmom. Still, it's not derech eretz also to mention your father's or your rabbi's name by the first name. So he says mutar loymar ovi or rabbi. You could add the word my father and then his name or rabbi. That's already like a title, like saying reb. That's a title. That's all minimal, just to show derech eretz, but no more than that. Don't start glorifying them in front of Hashem with all the titles. Yeah. Achlo Yosef al zeh. Don't add more to it. Just say the minimum. So today would be, if you say Mishaberach for the Cholim, and you say Mishaberach for your father, for your Rebbe, he says Rebbe. That's it. Or Ovi in the name. That's as long as you show you have some level of derech eretz, but don't overdo it. That he brings from Mar Zekeneinu Arav HaChosid Mara Azulai V'Agoyz of Kisveyad. He brings from his grandfather, Rabbeinu Avram Azulai from Kisveyad. It wasn't yet printed. Now this what he brought it from Kisveyad. He found something hand reading. It's already printed on the Levush. Rabbeinu Avram Azulai has a commentary on the Levush. Over there, it's printed exactly this in it. It's already printed. Anyway, then he brings some other Sforim Avar Yaboik, and also he says Knesset Gdoilo that bring him Sefer Chasidim like his grandfather. So according to this, for the parents when you daven, or by Mishaberach, you don't add titles. And to add to it also, I see a lot of people, they're not aware of that. When they say Mishaberach, let's say, for a Kohen or a Levi, they say, let's say, Rabbi Yitzchok ben Rabbi Avram, a Kohen or a Levi. It's not necessary, because if we all identify ourselves with name and the name of the mother or the name of the father, by adding Halevi, it's inyan of covered. You don't come in front of Hashem, especially when you need the Rachamim for refuah shalema. You don't come and bring their gavus, their gadlus. Other will come with humility. So that's one nekuda, which is again a lot of people not aware of it. It's by Mishaberach for the Cholim, whether it's your father, whether it's a big rabbi, whether it's a big Talmud Chacham or Tzaddik Gadol, you just say their name. You could say just the Reb, Ovi, Moras for the mother, and that's enough without adding many more titles. That's one inyan. What we learn from the halacha within kibbud avoim. At times you don't overdo it, because sometimes overdoing it, it's not going to help. Okay, so that's one. The second halacha is brought in Shulchan Aruch Siman Yeredeh Siman Reish Mem halacha test. Chayav lechabdoi afilu achar moise. A person that's shaykh to many people. A person have to honor his parents even after they died. Ketzad. How are you going to honor them after they died? Ketzad. If you say something from the name of your father, the same halacha brought Lagabe Hilchas Rabbi in the Reish Mem base 2 chapters later. It says Omer Dover Shom Piv. Omer Kach Omar Abamori. That's what my father, my teacher, said. Hareni kaporas mishkovoi imu toichnem asor chodesh. If it's in the first 12 months after your father passed away, you have to say, after you said the name of your father, or my father said, Hareni kaporas mishkovoi. Whatever was supposed to happen to him, it should happen to me. Like I take over the dinim from him. That's your kibud avayim. You like taking upon yourself. You worry for him. You think upon yourself his suffering. It says after 12 months, then you say there's no more din after that, because Mishpat Rishonim it says 12 months. After that, everybody is already purified and cleansed. It says after 12 months you say Zichroina Livracha. I did also see that so common after you mentioned your. And it's like it says like the Ramos says, there's no different father and mother. If you mention your parents' name after the 12 months, you have to add to it Zichroina Livracha, of blessed memory. You could say it in English or Hebrew, but the idea is that the part of Derech Eretz. Mashma, if you don't do that for the first year, if you don't say Hareni Kaporas Mishkovai, you don't say after 12 months Zichroina Livracha, Mashma, it's compromising. That's Kibud Avayim. So that's Kibud Lachar Moisei. Okay. Now, then the Ramah brings that in the riding, some people, when they used to ride during the 12 months, they didn't ride the Kareni Kaporas Mishkovoi. The reason they didn't ride this, because the riding will stay way after 12 months. Then they're going to say, Kareni Kaporas, that's, you don't say this. Adrabah, it looks like saying this after the 12 months. It's not derech eretz, because you're saying my parents so bad that they still have dinim after the year. That's not derech eretz. Why are you holding such a big rishoyim that they still have dinim and you like take it upon yourself? It's not derech eretz. So since the riding could remain for a long time, whatever you ride, so even during the 12 months, he said, when you ride this, there's one opinion, you don't ride Hareni Kaporas Mishkova, but then you reject this opinion. V'yesh machmirim afilu b'ksiva. He says, that's the minute. Whether you speak, whether you write during the first 12 months, you have to say Hareni Kaporas Mishkovoi, and after that you're going to have to say Zichroina Livrocha, right? Or say Zichroina Livrocha. Okay. Now, the Taz, he asked on this halacha, what's brought over here, that during the first 12 months you're going to say Hareni Kaporas Mishkovoi. There's a contradiction. In Yeredeya in Siman Shin Ayin Vov, we mentioned this yesterday. Ramos said you say Kaddish only 11 months after the parents, because we don't want to hold them as Rishoyim, because Mishpat Rishoyim, 12 months, they're being judged for 12. We don't want to hold, it's not Derech Eretz to hold the parents as Rishoyim. Officially, we stop a month before to show we're not holding the Rishoyim. So, according to this, it says, L'choyre, to say, Hareni Kaporas Mishkovoi, you should stop after 11 months, not 12 months, because by saying Hareni Kaporas Mishkovoi, I'm going to be a kapora for my parents, by the 12th month, after the 11th, by the 12th month, but basically you're saying they still have a din, they're a shoyim. According to the Ramah, the minhag is after 11 months we don't say Kaddish. You shouldn't say Hareni Kaporas Mishkovoi. So he says L'maaseh, he says there is a difference. He says the difference. He says the Tar is like this, because he says you have to say, if you don't say Hareni Kaporas Mishkovoi, what you have to say is Zichroina Livrocha. One thing you cannot just say them without anything following this, since you can't say Zichroina Livrocha, because maybe they are being still judged. It's not so Livrocha, it's not so blessing, because they're being judged. So Mele, you're saying Hareni Kaporas Mishkovoi, because you have to say something. So if you say nothing, it's going to be zilzul. Saying it might be a sheker, might be a lie. That don't say anything. Mashenkin, he says, by Kaddish, he says, you sheval taisod if you just don't do anything. You're not saying any sheker by not saying Kaddish. By saying Zichroina Livrocha, you might be saying a sheker, because we don't want to say sheker. So since we say Hareni Kaporas Mishkovoi, by Kaddish, you're just not saying anything. So it's not like this. So say like this. So the Aruch HaShulchan brings the stars, and he adds another answer. He says there's another difference in Kaddish and saying Hareni Kaporas Mishkovoi. By Kaddish, it's in public. By Kaddish, in public, you don't want to tell my father or my mother were not tzaddikim. That's why I'm saying for them another Kaddish the 12th month. So you're stopping. It says Masha Enken, when you speak b'yichidus, it's not barabim. Memela, you could say Hareni Kaporas Mishkovoi. We don't know how long is Hashem going to judge. You could say that. So that's the origin. However, here could be nafkamina v'halacha. The Shach disagrees with the Taz, The Shach says that you're allowed to say on your father during the first 12 months, during the first year, also Zal, Zichrona Livracha. Just after 12 months, you could say both, according to him. You could say either Areni Kaporas Mishkovoi or Zichrona Livracha, they're both honoring the parents. But he says, but after the 12 months, don't say Areni Kaporas Mishkovoi, because that's already not Derech Eretz. That's compromising, because you're saying like they're being judged still. He says, that's the minute. According to the Shach, the minute you could say both. So according to him, since you could say what the whole reason of the Taz was, we have the Areni Kapara the whole 12 months, yeah? Because you cannot say Zal, Zichron Livrocha, we don't say the first year, because maybe they're still being judged. So you have to say something. We say Areni Kapara. According to the Shach, you could say Zichron Livrocha, even the first year. According to the Chore, Mashma, according to the Shach, after the 12 months, after 11 months, you should not say Areni Kaporas Mishkovot, because it's still, you could say Zal. According to him, you could say Zal, Zichron Livrocha. So and also there's no raya, the contradiction of the Taz, there's really no raya that we have to say it according to the Ramah, like the Aruch HaShulchan say, for 12 months. There's no raya for it. Why? Because the Ramah himself, we mentioned yesterday, in Shin Ayin Vav, he has a contradiction. In the beginning, he says, you say Kaddish 12 months. The end of that halacha, he says, 11 months. So I mentioned yesterday, Rav Vosner, he says, no contradiction. He mentioned original halacha 12 months, but then the poskim achronim came and said, we're worried, we should not consider him as a Rosh, we stopped at 11. That's the minhag. So he brings me Ikar Adin. Ikar Adin, generally you say Hareni Kapras Mishkova for 12 months. But could be that after 11 months, like by the Kaddish, you stop and you say Zichrani Livrocha. That's according to the Shach. So you could do both ways. But either way, the Ian of, again, going back to the Kibud Avoim, it's Kibud Avoim, when you mention them, for the first year you say Hareni Kaporas Mishkovoi, and after the year you say Zichroni Livrocha. Yeah, could you?
Yeah. Are you allowed to say